Okay, it seems like I can't get out of the habit of videoing my day. So this morning had lots of plans. You know how that is. They don't always materialise, do they, into anything. But I'm out of breath because I put on this dress. Now, this is not a me made. I got it from a charity shop. It was about £3 and it fits me absolutely perfectly and I love it. And I've been dancing about in it and I'm going to share a tiny bit of that with you at some point, and just to ask, how can I make a dress like this? Have you seen a pattern that would just be so easy to fit on my body and so that it could do those dances that I like to do? And it doesn't have, since I got it, I've realised this is called a cold shoulder style. Who knew? Just got a bit missing. But I really love it. It fits me so good, so nice. The only thing that I have against it, that I would pass it off as a wonderful dress, is that they didn't pattern match the back. Well, they wouldn't, because it's fast fashion, isn't it? And it's got a seam down the back. But it's not about the pattern. It just makes me feel happy and hugged because it is nicely fitted. So yes, I've been shaking my tush downstairs. And yes, there is an advert called Shaking That Ass, and I think that's what I've been doing. So if that offends you, apologies. It's on telly, and it's for a Renault Clio, I think. Anyway, what I'm doing today is, I had several ideas. I was going to finish this dress. I have already pulled apart the blue blouse with the collar, with the frill around it, that I've had problems with fitting and not fitting, and it's right and it's not right, and I took it on holiday, didn't feel right at all. It sort of stands up on its own. It's too big. Taking it all apart from the front facing, and I'm going to start again, and eventually I'll make it right, but I'm not rushing at that. I'm only out of breath because I've been dancing for some time. So I thought I'd do that, then I thought I won't do that. It just takes over my mind when I do it. So I had thoughts of cutting out, altering a pattern that I picked up the other day when I was sorting my patterns. Oh, I'm definitely going to do that one. Well, I'll alter it so that I'm ready for when I want to do it. That was one of my plans. This is what happens when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Can't quite get back to sleep, so you start making plans. And then, if you're unfortunate, you remember what those plans were when you wake up. And then you feel like you've got to put them into fruition. Anyway, so there was that. Oh no, I'm going to cut some fat quarters into 5-inch squares, because I've seen a couple of crafty makes that I could make with those. And I went to the Southport Flower Show, and there was a woman who had a stall full of these. I'm not going to go into what they are just now, but her stall, that's all she had on her stall. Now, she does make other things. It's a piece of structured fabric usefulness. That's all I'm saying. She was concerned, I think, that there would be a mass outpouring of lots of people making them if she shared too much about them with me. But she did say I could put one on my channel, and I put one on last week. Just at the very end, just to say that I'd met this wonderful woman called Stephanie. They are called Organisers, and I don't want to make those, but it's just got me back into, what am I going to do if I have a craft stall? And given that we need £1,000 to change that window, I've got to get my thinking cap on. Boing. So I'm going to carry on with sorting this room. I'm not cutting up scraps. I'm not cutting up fat quarters. I'm not finishing this dress. What I'm going to do is look at the structure of where I keep my other patterns. So I'm going to do something about those. I'm not being formal enough to say, so I'm going to pair it with that fabric or that fabric. I don't want any pressure, even if it's only my own pressure on myself. But it's helped me clear out some murkiness in my mind about what I want to do next. So just my plan for today is looking more at, I have PDF patterns in a couple of boxes. I've got this cupboard that has a couple of boxes of PDF patterns. And then what I realised was I'm a bit like Rachel at the French Seams. I don't have a huge stash. I have a manageable stash that I've kind of bought with ideas in mind, kind of flexible and fluid ideas, but I don't have drawers and cubbies full of, that's not my word, an American word, full of fabric. And I got a bit panicky just before my holidays because I was running out of, I didn't really have much jersey fabric. And I like just to be able to think, oh, I could make that, and I've got something there. But I don't need a full, whatever, a tranche of fabric. So what I've realised is I'm getting blocked. Why things are backing up in here. I do have my big cupboard, and I have a way of storing fabric in there that's on cards, in layers. But why I'm here and all excited is that I realised overnight that I am blocked. I'm hardly ever going in these 3 cupboards. Well, these 2 mainly. And they are full of these with fabric in. I'm going these. You might not be able to see that one. Full of these. Oops. With fabric in. But I've been putting like half a metre back or a metre back, and I haven't really got much actual yardage in there now that I could be using. So I'm going to go through those. I'm tempted not to tip them out on the table because you know how that can end. They might be there in another 3 weeks. But I'm going to go through them, and as you can tell, I'm buzzing. So I recommend a few times round the dance floor, or as Sophie Ellis Bextor has, kitchen disco. And I have definitely been doing a bit of kitchen disco, and then I moved on into lounge disco. And I have been discoing myself around the front room with the lights on and the blinds open, and that's how I ended up doing a Charleston in my friend's house once, and people going past, and then her daughter was like this in shame, because then when we knew that, her mum joined me. We were both doing Charleston in front of the window as these people went past again. So that's that bit of information that you didn't need, isn't it? Okay. Right, I'll see you in a bit. So this is the blouse that is now in pieces. So my intention is to make a size 12 at the back. I will review that with the size 16 on the front, and then I'll work out how on earth I'll just have to make another colour when I get all the maths right. Gosh, I can't get over all that dancing. So in here should be some red floral multicoloured cotton lawn. Now if it's the one I think it is here. But this is the purple crepe. I don't know if it's polyester crepe, I don't know what kind of crepe it is, or it's a viscose or something, but it's not, maybe only minusculely like crepe. But it's quite a lovely, I love the, purple. So that I had teamed in my head with, so I did think that I would quite like, when I first got that, it was free in a sewing magazine, but I thought I would keep hold of it because I think that's got enough structure, and it turns a little bit back at the hem, and it's the same on both sides. So I don't like, there's a few things I could have made it with, but the white on the back or whatever. I don't have many plain dresses, if I have any. So I've been waiting for what the right thing would be for that. May not make it, that's just a possibility. This, now I think her channel is Stitch Hem Sew, and it's Claire, and I did smile when she'd made her husband a lovely shirt, but for some reason it didn't fit him. I think she'd made it as a present, and I don't know how it went astray that she'd either, there'd been a miscommunication of his measurements from a different shirt that he'd had before, and the shirt that she made him just didn't fit him. So he went through the stash, or she ordered some of this. It's called Pima Lawn. So I've discovered that, like Tana lawn, Tana is some kind of process or for the Liberty fabrics. It's not cotton lawn. It might be cotton. Tana lawn, I don't know. But this particular make of fabric, brand or whatever, they call it Pima lawn, P-I-M-A. So this I'd bought 1.5 meters of, I think, to make a top that was going to go under some red cord, needle cord dungarees, which I've never made yet, but I have got the red needle cord. And then I decided I might make something else with it, so I bought another 1.5 meters. I've got a habit of doing that lately, but this is I don't know, 18 months, maybe 2 years old that I got it. I was really surprised to see it more recently. So that, although it's a little bit dark for me, with red against it, it would pick it up a bit brighter for me. So that I knew was in there. And again, see if you look, they're all woven. And then this one, oh, it's just such a beautiful fabric. It's kind of, I don't know, very soft kind of drill, but it's got a bit of a sheen to it. And I've got the sleeves and the trims and a little frill to the dress that belongs to. Ooh, paired with that. So it is really lovely fabric. I think I've still got a couple of meters of that, and again it's finding what is the right thing to make with it, because it's quite structured. So I knew they were there, and I have, helpfully, I've written on a description and how much is on each piece. You see, that makes me sound organised. Yes, right. And I think that had lived with the blue for a little while in case I managed to do something else together. But so they are actual fabrics. They are more usable for now. I've got quite a few nice ric-racs and bits of lace and things like that. So I'm still, I can't open the window and it's got quite hot in here. But anyway, you'll just hear that as a bit of a mantra every time I come in here now. So they go in there. And they're there. But they're not used very often, so they don't necessarily, again, need to be in an easy place to get them. So in here, like with my little chest of drawers, my tiny drawers, for my work really, and the office, the admin side of my work. So I also had lots of these. So I had yellow ones for supervisees and I had blue ones for client. As I started the day, I put those like in a magazine file, and then I knew who I had coming next and all that kind of thing. And I also had some clear ones where if I was on a contract to an employee assistance program company, then I knew which were my private clients. You don't need to know all this, but I suppose I need to tell you. So my private clients, my supervisees, they are people who are already counsellors or training to be counsellors and are coming to me for consultative support. So reutilise these once kind of reduced my business. These became redundant, and so that's what I used for my patterns. I would hope that I wouldn't buy these anymore because of the plastic, but I have recycled them for another purpose. So all these, most of these are PDFs. So that I can see is my Davenport dress. It's an actual pattern, but I keep it in there because it's kind of a bit sprawly. Tilly and the Buttons, Billy. So these, I know what these are, right? So Westcliff Dress, Friday Pattern Company. Sagebush Talk, Friday Pattern Company. Blaze Wearable Blankets. Now I've got these two patterns. There's a Billy one and a Blaze. One is for children and one is for adults. And these are those kind of hoodie blankets. And the first one I ever saw was on Michelle at Sewing Bunny last year before Christmas, and she was sharing how she'd made her and Stuart one, and just to cosy up after tea, whatever, when they're in the house watching TV because of the bills, everything costing so much more. So I'd got a pattern for Alan and I and one for the boys. And one of the boys said he would have one as long as it was only about down to a normal hoodie, which is a bit strange. So I've not got onto those, but I did buy the fleece for them. I took it for their approval. They liked it so much, it was so nice and soft. So now they use it just to lie on and make dens with and cosy up to at night. So I've not got that now. I can retrieve it if they do want the actual garment. Is it a garment? And then Bakerloo dress from Nina Lee, which I had great intentions for. And what I'm finding is I'm now doing another pattern video. Anyway, I had great intentions for. I've made a toile just out of the bodice, and I made the collar, and there were things about it I didn't quite like, but it's just in a polyester sheet, and I didn't get back to it, but I feel like I've got a use for the collar when I get organised enough to flow a bit. I really need, I was worried the other day when I put my video together, I think it was yesterday, yeah, because it's Saturday today. What's 12 and 7? It's Saturday the 19th, and I was a bit worried towards the end of my video. I kind of had to admit to myself that I'd lost my sojo, and it was quite an upsetting moment really. I had to edit out the bit where I reached for the tissues, but I feel like I haven't lost my sojo. I've got stuck in the messiness, the stickiness of the messiness. Now I don't know if you'll understand that, but my head is still working on things, which is a good thing. I'm not putting pressure on myself, but I'm feeling like what I need to do is sort, rethink things, and then I can have an open way to do the things that I want to do. And I'm hoping that's going to work. So I think by sharing this is helping me already, because I'm still looking at, well, what things do I need to do and what things can I just leave? Because I really do have enough clothes. You know, I'm 70 years old, I've been married for 50 years, I've been sewing since back in 2015. I started sewing again a little bit, and I hadn't really sewn since David was small, and he's 41 now, and even 8 years before that I'd not really sewn much in that time since we'd been married. I made my own wedding dress, as lots of people do, but it was a 70s wedding dress, so quite minimalistic, and so many things now are like that, and I'm so pleased I made it, you know what I mean, and I made other dresses from that pattern, and I wish I could just find that pattern now, because I don't understand what Vampire's Wives is now, whether it's a film, whether it's a series or what, but people keep referring to, oh, I think that's kind of towards Vampire's Wives, a Vampire's Wives dress. Don't know what that means, but basically my style then was, I just saw one. I'm fitting from here, a seam here, so, and pie line, quite nicely fitted. I've shown it many times on my video, the actual photos of it, don't have it now. But it had, people call it leg of mutton sleeve, but it wasn't a leg of mutton sleeve, it was a puff sleeve, not poofy. People call puff sleeves poofy. It drives me mad. Poofs are poofs that you put your feet on. Puffs are puffs because they're puffed up. So there you go, there's another of my lectures. So it had a puffed sleeve that finished there, and then there was a fitted sleeve sewn to it that just went straight to the wrist. So it's not technically a leg of mutton sleeve, which would be kind of like a leg of mutton, you know, big at the top with the thigh and then go down. So when people say, oh, you had a leg of mutton sleeve, no, I didn't. I'm what's called pedantic. I like things to be what they are, not what people tell me they are. Okay, lecture finished. So it didn't have that, and to me that's a frown. That's like I'm not happy. That's like corners of your mouth going down. It's really, if you've never been before, you now know you're on with a nutcase, if you had any doubt before. So that is the Bakerloo dress, and that should be that's the plantain tea, and I gave that to my friend. I made it and she really liked it, and I said I would make her one if she wanted, which is a very rare thing for me. But she'd been very poorly, and she brightened up at the thought of it. So I said, do you want that colour? So she said yes. I said, I'll send for the fabric. And so when I came home, I thought, I need to know. She was a much smaller person, more petite. And so I took it to, so on the Wednesday I nearly ordered the fabric, and then I thought, I'll take it and see what alterations I need to make and which size pattern to do when it does come. So when I took it, it fit her perfectly as I'd made it. And she's even got, I mean, I made my arms down to being a gorilla, but it was fine on her. So she said, I said, if you'd like to keep that one, I hadn't worn it, I've talked about this loads, hadn't worn it, I just had a photo taken in it. And so she had that one. Now I still to actually replace the fabric and make another one, but I would make another one because it just fit me really easily. It's kind of a relaxed fit but not oversized, and it just went together, no messing at all. And I made it straight out of the packet, which I kind of am finding with the deer and doe. So that's what's in there. And then I have to be careful with these boxes because they're falling apart. So what we have here is the Lulu cardigan I have not touched. I think I have joined it all together. I've had this since 2020 or whenever it came out. I haven't joined it all together. It is Pattern Scout. So I've never seen any reference to it since Andrea, Beyond the Pink Door. She made a couple of those and I really like them, and I did intend to make it. And maybe I still will make it, but it looks like it comes up very short, so it needs a bit of adjustment. And that's why it's kind of sat there. Then the Phoebe flounce that I did make, I will just show you that because it never comes out really. And I was so proud of this when I made it. And I made it and I got it just in time, finished just in time for the Sew April blouse. So I'm a bit more, my shape has changed as our shapes do anyway. So I was so pleased, so proud. I'd done these flounces, never done anything like this before. I hadn't done rouleau loops since I was 17 when I did a secretarial course, but on a Friday afternoon we had a wonderful woman who actually was called Mrs. Shipperbottom, and I'm not making it up. And she taught us crafts like how to make a bread basket and those sections for putting your French bread in or your rolls at a dinner party. And a drafted, out of self-drafted jacket, and I made it very similar to this actually in a black crepe, which I knew nothing about really, but my friend sewed quite a lot. I did a bit of sewing but nothing like her, and she'd done all sorts of tailoring kind of techniques, and it had a camp collar and then just a top collar and then into a V, and then from down the V you put on rouleau loops and things like that, and it had slightly puffed at the top and then into a gather at the bottom. And I think I wore it twice, and then obviously it would need washing. And if you saw my other video the other day, I don't like ironing, but when I lived at home ironing was a thing to fear, because my mum knew one heat level and one heat level only, and I didn't know much different either. So when it was washed, it will have gone in with a boil wash or anything else, and if you leaved anything about, my grandma would shove it in the washing machine because she used to come and help my mum while my mum was at work, and my grandma would have just shoved it all in with something else, and it was like, came out looking like what my other grandma would call a rubbing rag. So it looks like a rubbing rag, that, and that's what I think of linen. So all of you who, oh, linen, oh, it's marvellous, oh, I wouldn't do without linen. Yeah, no thank you, looks like a rubbing rag. So there you go. And I don't know if it's to do with poverty or what, but I can't bear to have stuff that's scruffy. That's what people who what would you call it, who defend linen or praise linen wouldn't appreciate me calling it scruffy. But I think when you've lived in a time when there weren't always fabrics that came up nicely with just a little press or no press at all, and you would be teased for having something that had been left at the bottom of the washing basket and going to school looking like you're wearing a rubbing rag, then you might have a different opinion. So anyway, oh, I'm going off on one today. So I really love this, but I never wear it now because when I put these sleeves in, which I just did for that competition thing, they are that one, which is in fact a leg of mutton sleeve. And my plan was afterwards, when I really don't, so also I placed them, I didn't place them far enough in. So I did call them my COVID prevention outfit because you wouldn't get within 2 meters of me when I'm wearing them. But obviously I don't wear it because it's a bit ridiculous. And now it's a bit more usual, even in the last 2 years, it's a bit more usual to have a really big puffed sleeve. But I had it's not around at the moment, but I have started a little top in which I was going to transplant these sleeves into. That's not good grammar, but if you know what I mean. And I'll take this off now. So that's what I was trying to say. So instead of actually using their sleeve pattern, I can transport those sleeves into there. I do that all the time on things, you know. So there were lots of techniques. I didn't understand what I was doing a lot of the time, but I was so pleased with myself when I'd finished it. So I'll just pop it there for now, but that is the Phoebe flounce. Now I'll keep talking about it these last couple of times. I might have another go at it because I did make it a little bit big on the back. Again, my problem because I've got quite a shallow back. Now I know a bit more, I know about how to do. So that is my Sinclair Yasmin dress. Now that gets a lot of use. And I've made two. I've got one cut out there, and I had a very useful experience the other day. It's like a wine coloured or a purple coloured one, and it's a V-neck, and it's sleeveless, and I usually wear a polo neck under it. And the other day it was so warm, it's only a cotton jersey, and I put it on as it should be. Now normally you wouldn't see me with my bare arms anyway, but just to wear in the house, that was fine. So I put it on, and I really do not like it. It's got a different pattern for the sleeveless, so you bring it in a bit, and because of the way the bodice is, it leaves a lot of bulk here, and it really does not suit me. And I'm so glad that I did that, because I've got another one cut out, and I haven't cut any sleeves out for it because I thought I would do the same thing. Now my idea wasn't to wear polo necks under them, which is what I've ended up doing with that purpley one. I just was making it quickly for the hashtag Sew Purple to End ALZ for Michelle Sews Again to End Alzheimer's. She does a challenge in, I think, September. And so I made it, and I really liked it on top of jumpers, but I had intended to make something like the Freya top out of a t-shirt weight, pink. I'm doing that as if I've got it on, I haven't, it's downstairs, with a polo neck and long sleeves, but it wouldn't have been a knitted one. And I think that would have been better under it generally, because it kind of sticks to the polo neck ones, the rib. They're acrylic, aren't they? They're not wool, but you know what I mean, knitted. Anyway, don't matter. But I've never got round to making that, and I tried the Freya again, and I still can't get the fit right, because I'm low busted. There's issues, and I need time and energy to go through that, and I'm not doing it. So I did buy a different pattern. I'll show you perhaps if I come to it. So that is my Sinclair Yasmin dress. That is my absolutely worn out almost Sinclair Harper Cardi, because I've made 5. Love it. I've got Sinclair Linear top, which I've made 2 of. I have my Sinclair Bondi, just a t-shirt, which I've made 1 of. A polo hoodie, that's for Alan, I haven't made it. A Skylar hoodie that I haven't made, from Sinclair Patterns. And a Serena or a Serena crossover dress. Now I really like that idea. It's a bit like that purple one I showed the other day, but it's only just on the bodice. And I will make that at some point. I did think I'd got the fabric for that, and then I used it for something else, I'm not quite sure what. So they are mostly Sinclair. Then there is a Prani skirt. Now it's possible I will make that soon, because I have some navy ponte that I think would be really good in that, and that creates a lot of other useful outfits. So that's kind of earmarked. I'm not earmarking the Serena dress yet. And then the Bondi sleeve pack, that goes with obviously the Bondi t-shirt. Yeah, that's that. So just very quickly, so I don't have to redo this again, I'll just show you. Very first Harper cardigan, that's how I got into PDFs, and I didn't like the colour. I thought it was going to be that colour, and every time I pick it out of my wardrobe, that thought goes through my mind. But I wear it and it's okay and it's lovely and cosy, but it's not what I wanted. I tried to keep my Sinclair ones together, and then underneath there I've got my magazines. I'm not showing you this at the moment, but I do have some officey stuff in there, and that's kind of taking up room. But oh, what was that? That's my Nina Lee, the Camden pinafore and skirt, and that's in one of the project bags I bought from B&M a while ago, just before I'd got the pattern for the Peacekeeper from By Annie. And this is the Peacekeeper pattern, although this is a bigger size of it. This is a free pattern from By Annie bags. It's dead simple to make. You can make it in an afternoon. You can use it as a project bag, and it's slightly smaller than this, but I'd made 3, I think, and I knew how to do it and I knew how to alter it. So it just keeps everything together, and that's the fabric of the dress that I was just jabbering on about. So I made a toile out of this for the Deer and Doe orange dress, and I thought the other day that I do have sleeves on it, because I can't use it as it is. It's just a little mock-up thing. It was mostly to test the stretch on the neck, and anyway, it doesn't matter. I can take those sleeves out of there and put them in that dress, that Yasmin dress that I've just been talking about. So that came to me in the night as well. It's handy, these, you know, when you can make your insomnia productive. I've got these back where they should be. I've sorted through them. I know which ones I've got rid of quite a lot. I know which ones I'm keeping. I know which ones I've made before. I know which ones I want to start on next. I would like to start on these next, including that one. And I've got others that are in the... These are the ones that are too big for that section. So there are some in here that I want to have a good look at again. I don't know if I'll ever use the Marnie, but I did buy it and I thought about it and I'm not sure. That's the other one I got that's apparently very similar to a Freya. So I want to really investigate that to see what that fits like. And I've got plenty of kind of t-shirty fabric that I could do a toile with for that. So I think I should just shove that one in there again now, and then I'll put this back on here for now. Then I have changed this so that I've got said t-shirt fabric. So although that looks like just bits and pieces, it is really, but they will be useful for colour blocking. I'll take away the actual scraps, but that's the pink has not really been used much, just for a neckband for something else, and I want to make a pink one, probably like that, what's it called? The Nico from True Buyers. So I want to have a go with that. So I want the pink one. I have some yellow that I did, but I only got 1 metre of that. So I've got 1 metre of that, and I did buy a skirt in a sale, which I will show you. It is an M & Co skirt, and it was in their sale. They've gone into liquidation, the shops, but I think they're still doing some online now. But that was for sale at £9.90 something, or £9.50, and I bought it because I thought I can resize it if it's not quite right. I can do something with it. Anyway, it fits really well, and it's just ridiculous. They brought these things out as if they were designer. Sonder Studio, several of them. There are several different names of their own, I think, that were supposed to be designer, and the standard is rubbish. It's just the lining only goes down to the flare. I mean, that is just penny pinching, isn't it? It's fast fashion at its worst, pretending not to be fast fashion and pretending to be designer and couture. So that is meant to be with that, and it picks out that deep bright one perfectly, I think. So just a little cheeky t-shirt to shove on with this, with maybe a little black bolero or something like that. I may have lost my sojo, but I feel like I'm cooking with gas. I'm making headway on the room. I just feel like one when things are a bit more organised and I know what's there and I know what could go either into a big bag of scraps. I don't mean rubbish. When I say scraps, I don't mean rubbish. I mean small amounts of fabric. So I need somewhere to put small amounts of fabric that I can just go to if I want a neckband or if I want 2 pieces on the sides of a colour blocked outfit or something like that. So I know what I want. I know I've no head, but you know. But I'm tidying up now, going down and having a nice cup of tea. Hello, little dress. You've not got any further, have you? But it doesn't matter. I still love you. There we go. We'll get there.